to start with Christmas gifts. Quick and easy Christmas gifts. These are going to work for your teachers, your kids' teachers, the bus drivers, the mailman, the water guy, anybody you need just a little gift to give to, just to show your appreciation for everything you've done all year. And these are cheap and inexpensive. You can use paper and ribbons and accessories you have around the house. And all you really need to do is just buy your candy bar. And I found these at the store on sale for $1. And I actually stocked up and I bought 25 of them. Because that should be enough to get me through all the teachers and aides, bus drivers, mailman, etc. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and decorate this up and make it look fancy. And and people actually will appreciate that you took the time to handcraft it and add a little flair to it, rather than just give them a candy bar, basically. So let's go ahead and who doesn't like chocolate? So this is the big candy bars, the 4.4 ounces. So the first thing we're going to do is you need a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, or if you want to use up your scraps of 12 by 12 paper, you can do that as well. What I did is I took a 12 by 12 sheet of paper and I cut it down in half so that I got 2 sheets out of each piece of paper, and I cut it to 6 by 12. And then what you're going to need to do, once you have it 6 by 12, then you're going to need to trim it down to 6 by 9. So you're going to want to take 3 inches off the top of your piece of paper. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we take our 6 by 12 sheet, and we're going to trim it down to 6 by 9. And they have a pattern on them. Figure out where you want your pattern, which ones you don't want. So 6 by 9. Go ahead and trim that. Alright, then you're going to take your Hershey bar. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to wrap it around your Hershey bar. But the Hershey bar is wider than 6 by 6, so we kind of need to put a border on the edge to kind of save our paper. So if you only use one sheet of 12 by 12, you're going to kind of go through a lot. So what you need to do is very carefully take the wrapper off of your candy bar. But you want to make sure you take off just the Hershey part, not the foil. It's actually pretty easy to do. These ones are pretty easy. So you just take this off and throw that away. I would recommend not to give out candy bars with nuts or anything like that, because you just never know who could be allergic. So basically what we're doing is we're rewrapping this. So you're going to want to put, you could leave it like this with the silver, but I like to put a little bit on the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to want my edge to be about 6.5. So I'm going to add some strips of Baja Breeze cardstock, which happens to match this paper. So what I'm going to do, get my paper here, and I'm going to cut some 9 by 1 inch strips. So this is going to be 9, and I'm going to cut off 1 inch strips. We need 2 1 inch strips. Like so. So we have a 6 by 9 sheet of paper, of designer paper or scrapbooking paper, and then we have 2 strips of cardstock, 1 inches by 9 inches. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the scallop border punch, and we're going to go ahead and punch the edges of these strips. And just basically line it up, and you can use any edge you want. I'm just using the scallop. Now, I'm going to make several of these for women, and then I have there's a couple guy teachers, so what I will do is just change the pattern paper and maybe add a different, darker colored ribbon, kind of not make it so frilly and girly. You'll see when we're all done. That's going to definitely be something you'd want to give to a woman. Okay, now the next step you're going to want to do is take your bone folder, or just use your hand. You're going to want to kind of break up the fibers in your cardstock, so it's going to be a little bit more flexible to go around the candy bar. You're going to want to do it on both sides of the paper. You're just kind of making it more flexible. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces, our 2 scallop edges, and they have been The fibers have been loosened, so they're a little bit more flexible. Now what we're going to do is you're going to flip your piece of flip your piece of designer paper over. This is where if you have a mat with ruled lines on it, or you have a piece of this paper, scrap paper with lines on it, it's going to be your friend because you can use the roller to line up your paper. My words are slipping me right now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put some adhesive down along the edge of your pattern paper. You're going to want to make sure you use a sticky adhesive, something that's going to hold. Make sure nobody's gone over the edge. Go ahead and flip it and do the other side. And remember, you're just doing the long side. You're not doing the short side. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but there's cardstock there, or adhesive there. So I'm going to go ahead and use your ruler. And we're going to put, you're going to want your scallops facing out. So they're going to be on the outside edge of your paper. Okay. So you're going to want to put this down. Actually, let's get some, if you have some temporary adhesive, put a little bit of that on your border so it'll help hold it down on the roller. And I'm just lining it up. And by all means, it doesn't have to be, you know, as perfect as this. Down at 6 3/4. So the edge of your scallop goes to 6 3/4. Then you're going to put your pattern paper down, kind of center it in the middle of your two scallops. So you have about the same amount on each side sticking down. And then you're just going to adhere it, like so. Going forward, make sure you get it down good. Gently pull up because you used your temporary adhesive, like so, and then you're going to want to, you can remove the temporary adhesive, but it's going to be on the back side so no one's really going to see it. Okay, so this is what you should have. And you want to bend it a little bit more, give it some bending, and now we're going to go ahead and put it on our candy bar. Now this is going to be tricky because when you run it around here, you're going to want it to line up. So what I do is I actually put some adhesive on the top of my candy bar. Run it along, just like so. Just put your candy bar down and line it up, you know, center it where you want it. I kind of like this big snowflake, so I kind of want that to be more prominent on my edge here. Just kind of eyeball it, get it lined up where you want it, and then push it down in the center there, and then flip it over. And then you're going to want to run some adhesive in about the middle, and you're going to want to run some on the end there. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to walk it over. So you're going to fold it so it kind of creases a little bit. Just kind of push down like so. You see that? And then before I put adhesive down the other one, I kind of bend it over so make sure it lines up. And if you line it up just right, you won't have too much of a gap of your scallop sticking. Okay, so you just see no adhesive on this one. I fold it over and line it up. And then I'm going to put my adhesive on. There you go. See that? Not too many edges. Perfect. Okay, so now you have the front of your candy bar. Now, what I did is I have a bunch of these pieces of white satin ribbon that I had tied into knots for some card projects, and I didn't get to use them. So I dug them out of the box, but you can just use any ribbon you have. But I'm using Stampin' Up's white satin ribbon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it around the edge of the candy bar. since it's, I'm just going to use a glue dot here. Put a glue dot down on my back of my ribbon. Get the one piece lined up where I want it. Trim the back of that so it's straight. Put another glue dot on the back of that piece. Now if I just use straight ribbon off the roll, you wouldn't need to do this step because you would, just be tying it, but I'm trying to use up scraps that I have basically. And we all know they're going to rip these open and eat them, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a thought that counts. Okay, so once you have that on there, I'm just going to trim it up where I want it so it looks kind of pretty. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Whisper White cardstock, some Baja Breeze ink, and I'm going to take the Serene Snowflake stamp set, and I'm going to take this little trio of snowflakes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp in the ink, and then I'm going to stamp off on my scrap paper, and then I'm going to stamp onto my cardstock. And it's going to leave a very light impression on my cardstock. Okay? So you see, it's a very light impression. And then I'm going to take the Merry Christmas from Bells and Bows. This is a clear amount stamp. I'm going to ink that up in the Baja Breeze, full force, not stamping off. I'm going to stamp it right down over top of those snowflakes, just like that. And then I'm going to take my decorative label punch, and I'm going to punch that out. I'm going to take a sponge and some Baja Breeze ink, and I'm going to sponge around the edges here. And then I'm going to take a 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and using some more of my Baja Breeze, I'm going to punch out a circle. Same thing, I'm going to sponge around the edges. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Merry Christmas, and I'm going to adhere it onto the circle. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that. And then what I'm going to do, because it looks kind of nice, but I'm going to add some of these little pearls to it. These little pearls that have sticky backs. Put some dimensionals on here. And then you're just going to take your embellish, this is basically your embellishment, and you just put it down where you want it to go. And there you have it. You have a perfect little cute Christmas gift.